In under 30 minutes, I'll show you how to make 4 delicious pumpkin recipes. Honey pumpkin pie, glazed pumpkin bread made with browned butter, pumpkin pie bars, and Belgian pumpkin waffles. Honey pumpkin pie is my new favorite fall recipe. The texture is just right, and I think you're gonna love it. For the filling, we'll start with 1/2 cup packed brown sugar, 2 heaping tablespoons of flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 2½ teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. If you'd like to know how to make your own blend of pumpkin pie spice, I'll include a recipe at the end of the video. Stir together the dry ingredients and then add 14 ounces of pumpkin puree. You can roast and puree your own little sugar pumpkins, or feel free to use canned pumpkin. Next, add 1/2 cup of honey. I really love the rich, dark flavor of organic raw honey, but any honey you have on hand would work well for this recipe. Whisk together well, make sure everything is combined before we add the next couple of ingredients. Next, we'll add 2 whole eggs and 1 extra egg yolk. Lightly beat the eggs before you add them to the filling. The extra egg yolk will add a silky texture to the pie. If you love baking, this is a good time to subscribe to my channel. Also, I'm taking recipe requests. If there's a special recipe you're looking for, just let me know in the comments below. I'll leave links in the description for all the pies you see here. And for the last ingredient, 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. Stir together well until everything is combined. I'm filming pumpkin bread next, and also pumpkin pie bars to add to my fall baking playlist. Once everything is all mixed together, pour into a standard-sized unbaked pie shell. If you're looking for a good pie crust recipe, I have 2 listed below. An old-fashioned pie crust recipe using shortening, and the second one, an all-butter pie crust made with buttermilk. Tap the pie plate a couple of times to release any bubbles inside the filling. Bake in a preheated 425-degree oven for 15 minutes, then reduce to 350 and bake an additional hour. You may need to add a foil pie crust shield around the crust halfway through baking to prevent over-browning. All ovens are different, so baking times can vary. Insert a sharp knife in the middle of the pie to check to see if it's done. If it comes out clean, it's all finished baking. Allow the pie to cool completely before serving. I'll also include a link to my favorite homemade whipped topping. This recipe makes a really pretty slice. It's glossy and sharp on the edges and has a perfect silky texture. Top with a big dollop of whipped cream and a little extra pumpkin pie spice. I think I'll go ahead and try a bite right now. If you try my recipe, please let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out the nice golden bottom crust. And this is my blend for pumpkin pie spice. Be sure to check out all of my fall baking recipes. If you like pumpkin pie and buttery shortbread, you'll love this recipe for pumpkin pie bars. In just 6 minutes, I'll show you how to make the shortbread crust, pumpkin pie filling, and creamy whipped topping. One pan will make 12 large servings or up to 48 small servings. We'll start by making a shortbread crust. In a mixing bowl, stir together 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup granulated sugar, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and if you're using salted butter, make sure to only use a 1/4 teaspoon salt. Next, add 2 sticks of softened unsalted butter. And you'll want to blend this together kind of like you would do if you were making pie crust. I like to use my pastry fork for this, and it's probably my most used item in the kitchen. Mix together just until the flour is blended in. The dough will look a little crumbly, but it'll hold its shape when we press it into the pan. And that looks about right. Line a 9x13 baking pan with parchment paper. You can lightly butter or spray the parchment paper to make sure your dough doesn't stick. If you don't have parchment, just butter and flour the pan. Press the dough as evenly as you can all across the bottom of the pan. I like to use this crust recipe for lemon bars and also peach bars. Bake at 350 degrees for about 12 to 14 minutes until lightly browned around the edges. And next we'll make the pumpkin pie filling. To a mixing bowl, add 1/2 cup packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup granulated sugar, 2 heaping tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and if you'd like to make your own, I'll leave a recipe in the description below, and 1/2 teaspoon salt. And next we'll add 15 ounces of pumpkin puree. You can use canned pumpkin, or you could roast your own sugar pumpkins and make your own pumpkin puree. Add 2 large eggs plus 1 extra egg yolk, lightly beaten. Make sure to mix together well before we add our last ingredient. Whisk in 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. You can switch over to a spatula and make sure everything is mixed in, and then pour into our baked crust. Tap the pan against the counter a few times to release any extra air bubbles. Bake in a preheated 350-degree oven for about 43 minutes. All ovens are different, so just keep check. When a knife comes out clean, it's all finished baking. Allow to cool, and then make some homemade whipped cream topping. Start with a chilled mixing bowl and add 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. And mix on high speed until it just begins to thicken. Add 3 tablespoons of white chocolate instant pudding mix. If you can't find white chocolate, vanilla works well too. And 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Mix on high speed until really thick and fluffy, and I think you're going to love this. I like to add this to chocolate cream pie, coconut pie, and even strawberry shortcake. Add a big dollop of whipped cream to each piece, and top with a little extra pumpkin pie spice. This is the perfect recipe for your holiday dessert table. If you need to serve a crowd, you can get up to 48 small servings with this recipe. I've even known a few people that don't care for pumpkin pie, but they really love these bars. I really hope you'll try this recipe, and if you do, please let me know in the comments. Belgian pumpkin waffles, 2 ways. First, pumpkin street waffles made with Belgian pearl sugar, and second, classic pumpkin waffles with cinnamon whipped cream and maple syrup. We'll start with 3/4 cup of warm whole milk. Add 1 package of active dry yeast and stir well. Try using a small whisk to help dissolve the yeast. In a mixing bowl, add 16 ounces of all-purpose flour. I like to weigh the flour on a kitchen scale, but if you're measuring using cups, it's about 3 3/4 cups. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, and 1 teaspoon salt. Stir the dry ingredients together using a fork. And I'm using my favorite blending fork again, and I use this on almost every recipe, so I'll leave a link in the description. You can check it out. Add the milk and yeast mixture to the dry ingredients. And the melted butter, about 1 1/2 sticks. Two large eggs. 1 teaspoon vanilla. And I love Watkins baking vanilla. And 1/2 cup pumpkin. You can use canned pumpkin, or if you can find a little sugar pumpkin at the grocery store, you could roast it in the oven and make your own pumpkin puree. But there's nothing wrong with using canned pumpkin. I like to mix the dough by hand for this recipe, but you could use a stand mixer if you want to. This makes a really sticky dough. Be sure to blend in all the dry ingredients. You can switch to a large spoon or spatula to scrape the sides of the bowl and finish the mixing process. Cover the dough and allow it to rise in a draft-free area for at least 30 minutes, but probably no longer than 45 minutes. Now it's time to add the Belgian pearl sugar. It looks like a lot, but keep in mind this is the only sugar added to the dough. Make sure to add the pearl sugar after the dough rises. If you add it before the dough rises, the sugar can dissolve, and we want it to hold its shape. The pearl sugar caramelizes as the waffles bake and make a nice brown crunch on the outside. Keep folding the dough, and you can press the little sugar bits in as you go. All of your extra effort and hard work will pay off in the end. These waffles are so good, you're gonna love them. They make a nice holiday breakfast or brunch, a special dessert, or a late night treat just because. Now for the fun part. I'm using my favorite Belgian waffle iron. I'll leave a link in the description box for the waffle iron, Belgian pearl sugar, and a few other things that I used today. Lightly brush the surface of your waffle iron with a little vegetable oil. You'll only need to do this once at the first of the baking process because the dough has quite a bit of butter in it already, so the waffles won't stick to the iron. I like to set the waffle iron between 4 and 5. They bake about 3 minutes, but you might need to let it go a little longer because you want the waffles to be nice and brown. This recipe makes about 8 large waffles. I like using a large scoop to transfer the dough to the waffle maker. The dough contains raw eggs, so using the scoop will keep your hands nice and clean. Now would be a good time to start a pot of coffee. One thing that makes these so good is the texture. They've got it all. They're crispy, chewy, and soft. Coming up next, version number 2. The recipe is almost the same, except we'll add a 1/4 cup of brown sugar to the dough and leave out the pearl sugar. And now for the classic pumpkin waffles with cinnamon whipped cream and maple syrup. "16 ounces of all-purpose flour. And if you're not using a scale, that's about 3 3/4 cup. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar, added to the dry ingredients. 1 package of active dry yeast dissolved in 3/4 cup of warm milk. 1 1/2 sticks of unsalted melted butter. 2 large eggs. 1 teaspoon vanilla. And 1/2 cup pumpkin. Mix just like before. Cover your dough. Allow it to rise 30 to 45 minutes. Bake for about the same amount of time as before. Set your waffle iron between 4 and 5, and they bake for around 3 minutes or so. You'll just need to check and make sure they're nice and brown. These taste really good with just butter and maple syrup, or you could take the next step and make cinnamon whipped cream. To a chilled mixing bowl, add 1 1/2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Beat until soft peaks form. This is my first time using the KitchenAid cordless hand mixer, and I really love it. It has a nice low speed setting. It also looks heavy duty enough to handle buttercream and cookie dough, so I'm looking forward to trying it in another video. Here comes the secret ingredient. Add 2 tablespoons of instant white chocolate pudding mix, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon. Mix on low speed for a few seconds and then kick it up to high speed. Mix on high until nice and thick. Top with a big dollop of cinnamon whipped cream. Sprinkle with a little extra cinnamon. And drizzle with maple syrup. These didn't last very long and I had to make a second batch. If you should happen to have any left over, they store well in a Ziploc bag or an airtight container. Just warm in the oven for a few minutes before serving. Check out my video for 1940s diner-style pumpkin pie, chewy pumpkin cookies, world's best pumpkin pie, and many, many more. If you'd like printable recipes, check out my website at doublestopbakeshop.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.